What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Let's Play Batman Arkham Asylum. Real quick, if I sound a little bit weird, it's because I just got back from having a root canal done and my mouth is still a little bit numb from the anesthetic. So, I'm planning on just relaxing for the next few hours and recording a couple of parts of Batman all at once and having a good old time with this game. Root canal, surprisingly painless. I have had routine cleanings and checkups done that were more uncomfortable than that. I had always heard horror stories about how bad root canals were. Hey, some thugs! Let's knock their teeth out. Make my teeth feel better. I chipped my tooth on a piece of my favorite candy. That's why I went in and I had to have the root canal done. Chipped it so hard it went all the way down to the pulp of the tooth. Yeah, that guy doesn't have teeth anymore. So, when last we left off in the last episode, we'd found out that 3 doctors at Arkham Asylum in the medical facility had been kidnapped and they're now being held hostage. So, of course, we have to rescue all 3 of them. And luckily, we just got some explosive gel in the last episode from the trunk of the Batmobile. And these thugs are conveniently positioned behind breakable walls. So we're gonna breach, blow the walls. First we're gonna come up here for a Riddler trophy. Should come back up here in a few seconds, because I'm gonna be going up there to get a better view. And up we go. That grappling hook is so damn fun. And here we go. With the force of that, how does that not critically injure the doctor?
What's going on? They were talking like they were in control. Is it true that Joker escaped?
Unfortunately, yes. But not for long.
I'd been studying Joker's case for months when he broke out. The warden was very specific he wanted Joker cured.
Bad publicity will affect his campaign for mayor.
That'll be the least of it. I almost forgot. They said they were moving through the facility, hunting down the other doctors.
Don't worry, Doctor. I rescued you first, and now I'll search the other rooms. You wait here. It's dangerous out there.
Is the doctor Jennifer Hale? No, that's not Jennifer Hale. I do know the voice, though. Trying to remember who it is, though. I know that voice from somewhere. Hey, big gift wrap present for us. And the Joker's it's teeth. No, it's not. It's not Joker gas. It's not anything fun. It's teeth. Man, this episode is a real teeth theme going on to it. God, it is hard to talk. So throughout the corridor here, that branches off in 3 different directions to the 3 different doctors. You'll usually find ventilation shafts like that around their shortcuts to and from the beginning of the area and towards the later sections. This splits off to, I believe, the surgery room and the what's the other room? I think the X-ray room. The path we're heading down right now is, I believe, the surgery wing. Oh, this is where I get to talk about one of my favorite Batman villains, aside from the Joker, who's just kind of by default on everyone's list. Yeah.
Batman!
Don't speak. You're safe now.
But it's a trap!
I know. Just not for me.
It's true! You really are the world's greatest detective! How did you do that, Bats? Oh, what the hell? Get down there, boys. See if he can...
Yeah, but first we have to beat some thugs up. That's fine. Oh, counter. I have an upgrade I can use. I could... I keep dropping my combos. You know, on hard... Oh, I took my first hit of the playthrough so far. I was kind of hoping I would go through the whole playthrough without ever taking a hit. Oh well. Could have sworn I hit counter in time. I might have been in the middle of another animation. Oh, well. Oh, I thought it was just him left. There we go. Oh, no, there's a couple of them. Come here. I could use my upgrade point to get a special throw or a special takedown or something that you can only use when you're at 8x combo, but...
Don't get too full of yourself, Bats. I'm just softening you up. Think of this as a preview to the main event. You'll see.
I'm sorry. I tried to tell you. I couldn't speak.
Relax, you're safe now. I can handle these low-life thugs.
Love that confidence. Okay, so up here, we have something really, really cool. And I'm kind of conflicted about spoiling this. And so many other stories, but this one especially. So if you plan on reading Hush, and you should, skip ahead a little bit because I'm going to spoil the plot of Hush. So, Thomas Elliot was a childhood friend of Bruce Wayne. That's who's being referred to on the board there. He was a surgeon in Arkham Asylum, T. Elliot, Thomas Elliot. He's a childhood friend of Bruce's who was a little shitbag. He set his parents up to die. Like, he orchestrated this plot that would get his parents killed so that he could inherit his inheritance quicker. But Wayne's father saved his parents, or one of them, I forget which. And Elliot proceeds to hold a grudge against Bruce and his whole family for saving his parents and preventing him from getting his inheritance when he's a kid. And this alone is enough of a slight in Elliot's eyes for him to set up this crazy elaborate plot to ruin Bruce's life. He figures out everything about him. He enlists all these villains. He gets Poison Ivy to drive Superman insane, so it sets up a fight between Batman and Superman, which is a really cool fight. He gets the Riddler in on it. He figures out Bruce's identity or Batman's identity. He does all this stuff, sets up this insane elaborate plot, and later goes on to try to, like, surgically change his face, which is why when I open the profile picture back up there, his face is all wrapped in bandages. He surgically alters his face to steal Bruce's identity. I love Hush so much. He's such a cool villain. There's another character who kind of is similar to Hush in that regard, in, like, the stealing faces regard, except Hush just alters his face to look like Bruce. There's a character I'm going to talk about in a little bit once we get to the morgue, named Jane Doe, who is kind of a similar gimmick. Actually, Hush has a few more nuances, a few more facets to his character. Jane Doe's is just the face-off angle. Jane Doe is pretty cool too. It's just she doesn't get a lot of not a lot of spotlight time. So the room is flooded with fart gas once again. We have to hit a couple fans this time instead of just the one. Every time you hit the wall. Every time you hit one of these switches, that is going to cause the Joker toxin to lower just a little bit more and give you access to another platform until you get to this platform. You have to cut this guy down. He'll come crashing through that ceiling. Somehow not to his death, because of course Batman doesn't kill people, except for the couple times he did. Like the time that he shot that vampire. There's an old comic where Batman walks up to a vampire in a coffin and just shoots him square in the chest. It's one of my favorite goofy old-timey Batman moments. Just shoots a vampire. I love it. There's a couple important things going on in here, but
I would have made sure that freak stayed where he belongs.
Cash? Do you have it? No, Cash doesn't have anything important to tell us. Why would he?
Taped interview 39. Patient's name is Edward Nigma. At this point in time, I've yet to decide if Mr. Nigma is a suitable candidate for the Titan process. I'd like to talk about your childhood.
Miserable. Next.
By all accounts, that is where your fascination with riddles began. I believe discussing those years could explain your compulsive behavior.
Very well. My father hated me. Always called me a moron.
I see.
I was determined to prove him wrong, so I entered a contest at school. A $20 prize to the kid who could figure out an almost impossible logic problem. I won, of course.
And that pleased your father?
Hardly. He was convinced I had cheated. He kept yelling, "You must have cheated! Admit it, you moron! You cheated!" I swore I didn't, and he hit me for lying.
I'm sorry to hear that, Edward.
Don't be. He was right.
Every one of Riddler's interview tapes in this is pure gold. There's one room in here, I think it's the room that I was trying to get to before the cutscene warped me back out into the hallway. There it is. There's some really important stuff going on in here. And there's a riddle to solve, but there's also a couple more Easter eggs in this new newspaper. So Firefly escapes, Roman Sionis, Garfield Lynn, and there's even, hold on, get that. Yeah, Garfield Lynn escapes Blaze. Firefly in his cool suit. Goofy but cool. An Injustice Gang reference. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Injustice Gang back. So there's a lot going on here. Roman Sionis in court. Some stuff that's not so obvious. Roman Sionis is also known as the Black Mask. He is a brutal killer / crime boss. We'll find out more about him later. The Injustice Gang is a group of DC supervillains headed up by Lex Luthor. Garfield Lynn is Firefly. I think Firefly has had a few different identities throughout his run in DC. And he's also, Garfield Lynn, that version of Firefly, is also had a couple different backstories depending on which continuity you're going by. Hey, this president had a guy in it. Oh, and he bounced off the desk! Damn! And Firefly, I've talked about before, I really like Firefly. I like a good arson villain is so sinister for reasons I can't figure out why, like, a normal, just brutal killer isn't quite on par with that. I don't know. I want to talk about Firefly before I try to explain my thoughts about that, though. So, Garfield Lynn in most inceptions of the character is just like a theater worker. Like I said, he has a few different origins.
Did you find them? Are they okay?
Yes, they're safe now.
Batman, we've got another problem.
I need to get back to the mansion. All my research notes are there. We can't risk Joker getting his hands on them.
It's not safe, Doctor. The island's a war zone. You won't stand a chance.
It's my life's work. You really don't have the authority to.
I'll get her there, Batman. You ask me, it's about time for a little payback.
I don't like it, but... Who called the elevator?
Wasn't us. It's coming from the lower floor.
Cash, take Dr. Young. Get her notes and then find somewhere safe to hold up. Everyone else, go to the observation room. Barricade yourselves in.
The boss says he's in here somewhere. Spread out.
Alright, what is this? Just 3 of them? Yeah, we have another stealth sequence in the sanitarium. These guys aren't going to be difficult to deal with. Is he going under the gargoyle? No, he's on the floor below. Okay, so while I figure out how to take these guys down, why don't I... Oh, this is going to be easy. They're just going to hang around like that. Yeah, Firefly is always portrayed as a theater worker turned thief / pyromaniac / arsonist. And he's been involved in a bunch of really cool stories in a bunch of really cool ways. It's just he never seems to be able to he never seems to be the main eventer, you know? He had a story where he teamed up with Killer Moth, and Killer Moth was like, no way, this dude's too fucking nuts for me. Which is saying a lot because he's a fucking Killer Moth. There was also, oh no, I got shot! I got hit for the first time in the playthrough, and I got shot for the first time. For a second, I thought I might actually get away with that bullshit too. He was looking at the wall while I was strangling his friend. There was... Can't believe he let me do that. There was also this crazy plot where he wanted to wear Nightwing as a skin suit Firefly did. And then there's another one from a few years ago from, what was it called? The Streets of Gotham series. There was one where he sets all of Gotham on fire. So he's gotten some pretty cool side roles. But I really want to see him just, like, I want to see him be the big bad in something. I think that could be a lot of fun.
Too easy. Oh, think about it. I got you trapped in a little metal box, hanging precariously over a deadly drop. What say I just blow the emergency brakes and drop you like a sack of puppies? Say good night, bats. Boom! Only kidding. Got a few more surprises in store for you. Prepare to face your fears. All of them!
So you hear the subtle hiss of gas seeping in and see Batman coughing. Wonder what that's all about.
There is no crane. They're all over me! Only Scarecrow.
We're coming up on one of my favorite sections of the game, and I think that remains true for not just myself. I think it's a lot of people's favorite sections. You know what else is awesome about this episode? I'm getting to talk about some of my favorite villains a lot. Ooh, whoops, I didn't mean to do that. Oh, my eyes kind of glazed over. Yeah, this is a good episode. I'm getting to talk about some of my favorite villains. Got to talk about Hush, Firefly, another one's coming up momentarily, and then another one right after that. Ugh.
Help me, Batman! No!
Oh man, we have to go help Gordon out before something really bad happens to him. Whoa. Batman seems to have a bad case of the Azrael demon eyes.
I'm sorry, Jim. Barbara. I'm sorry. I was too late.
I'm sorry. The number you've dialed isn't available. Please leave a message after the tone.
Barbara, are you there?
Please hang up your phone.
Oh man, look at the effects here. And how cool this section is. Rocksteady should have been given Silent Hill over Double Helix. Man, if any Western developer could pull off Silent Hill after seeing this sequence for the first time, come on, you have to admit, Rocksteady could give that a solid shot. So we're now in the morgue. Doesn't seem to be anything here though, so let's try to go back out the way we came. Uh-oh. Looks like we've exited the morgue, but we've gone straight back out into the morgue instead of the hallway. Wonder what's inside the body bags. They're twitching.
Father, you should have stood up to him, son. Like a man. Mom?
Help us, Bruce! Don't let us die!
Oh man, I love everything about this sequence. Everything from the moment you see the walls start to dissolve and you see the flicker of light in the distance and you see Scarecrow's shadow. Oh, look at that big hallucinogenic cosmic toilet. Everything, the back-to-back morgue sequence where you exit the morgue, back into the morgue instead of the hallway, the body bag sequence. You turn around and you see this crumbling nightmare-scape. Oh, this is the best!
Poor little bat, you're in my world now.
And the cherry on top of the cake, the best Scarecrow design there has ever been. The gloves that are where the fingertips are syringes. Everything about this is just the best. It's so cool. Oh, it's so cool. And really, like, what a better way to introduce this bizarre, surreal nightmare section than to do it through Scarecrow's fear toxin, and the little flourishes, the flashes of light where Batman is turning into the Scarecrow himself. Oh, it's all just so well done. It's so cool. You have to love this section. So the whole point is that he's rotating around like a giant spotlight, and if his vision lands on you, if he sees you, he will wreck you. So we're trying to stay behind cover as much as possible. Now is the time to move, now that he's heard the big explosive go off. But that's fine, we'll get around him. We're almost at the end of this sequence, which is a shame. It ends all too quickly. Like, seriously, this is the best Scarecrow design since probably the Yellow Lantern Scarecrow. And they juxtapose that by showing you the shitty version of the Scarecrow. Not even the shitty version, the less awesome by comparison one.
Can you hear me? Bruce, what's going on?
Oracle, I'm okay.
What happened? I lost contact. Are you sure you're all right? Have you found my dad?
I'm fine. Had a little run-in with Scarecrow, slowed me down. I'll get back to you in a bit.
Alright, so this, you see a nose, you see fingertips, you see a bunch of stuff floating around in this. It's marked the Great White Shark, War in White. That is a reference to a villain with a very, very cool backstory. He was introduced in a comic called Arkham Asylum in Living Hell, which is one of the big inspirations for this game, the Arkham Asylum in Living Hell run, along with the other Arkham Asylum comics, like Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on Serious Earth. More on that in a second. So that was the Great White Shark. He was a white-collar criminal who was tried and convicted, and he, trying to be clever, pled insanity. So the judge, being a more clever asshole, sent him not to jail because, hey, he pled insanity. The man's insane, why not? Sent him to Arkham Asylum, which is a much, much worse fate, and we're going to talk through Joker's little monologue because it's not that big of a deal, it's just more taunting. Oh, didn't have it selected. Boom. So already, this story in Living Hell is off to a pretty great start, right? So while Warren White's there, everyone hates him. Guards, inmates alike. Joker tells him he is the worst person ever. The Joker tells him this. Killer Croc cuts his throat open to give, quote, the new fish gills. A character named Jane Doe, who I was just talking about earlier, basically kills people, surgically alters their face to resemble her victims, and steals their lives. The ultimate identity thief tries to kill him. She locks him in a freezing cold room, it freezes room, actually, and parts of his face become frostbitten and they fall off, and that was what was in the specimen jar in the morgue back there. He loses his nose, his lips, fingertips, all that stuff. And he goes nuts, and he finishes the job once he gets out of turning himself into this shark monster man. And he goes on to become a major, major crime lord in Gotham.
just through the glass. Take a look. Harley's under strict instructions to kill the old man if any of my guys even think you're in the room. They're patrolling down there. I told them all you're on the way. So here's the deal. If you can find a way to get to Harley without anyone realizing, I'll give you your next present. Fail? Cut and die. Hell, I may even give you Harley. It looks like you could use a new sidekick.
Alright, I want to pause real quick while he explained that, because that was actually kind of important. Because it tells us, mechanically, that if we get caught in this next stealth section, we don't just get shot up and hurt a little bit. We can't get caught at all, because if any of the guards see us, Harley will execute Gordon. So we have to be properly stealthy this time. No more strangling guards while their friends round the corner. Anyway, I paused the story about In Living Hell for that. That's the majority of it. That's Warren White, the Great White Shark's backstory. And the whole story just revolves around how he transforms from this white-collar criminal, otherwise normal-looking dude, into this monstrous shark man. And then it gets a little bit weird. And then it gets weird, because then they start bringing in, like, this angle with Azrael, and there's cultists trying to summon demons under the asylum. It gets real bizarre. And yeah, In Living Hell was a big inspiration for this game, as was A Serious House on Serious Earth, which I am going to talk about instead of this fairly boring stealth sequence, because the guards don't cover each other's backs too well. I'm just gonna have to wait for one of them up here to path around below me. And while I'm doing that, A Serious House on Serious Earth is another must-read, as far as I'm concerned. It's up there with Hush, so if you don't plan on reading A Serious House on Serious Earth, and you should, again, or I mean if you plan on it, and you should, I'm gonna spoil that a little bit, so you might want to skip ahead. Again, all that's happening here is kind of a uneventful stealth sequence. You can see there's not really much planning needed. They all kind of fall like dominoes. So A Serious House on Serious Earth is this excellent story, this fantastic, really gritty art style, this excellent story that gives an origin to the asylum itself and its creator, Amadeus Arkham. We've been picking up a couple of those Chronicles of Arkham that have been recounting Amadeus's story. That's all based on A Serious House on Serious Earth. So his wife and child are brutally murdered, and he patiently treats the killer, and then one day he's giving him electroshock therapy and he fries him, and he slowly loses his mind. He's racked with guilt and he's conflicted about it, and you get this story told to you in parallel with Batman being trapped inside the asylum after Joker takes it over. Sound familiar? And takes people hostage inside, and the inmates play hide and seek with Batman. I can't recommend A Serious House on Serious Earth enough. Plus, it's got one of those amazing titles. Also, I'm going to jump down here real quick and see if I can get to that patient interview tape from the roof that I couldn't get to before. Oh, you know what? No, I can't get to it up here. I remember how you get to this. I think you have to come back for it later, because you see that suspended body? That's going to become important in a little bit. Actually, very, very shortly. So we have our first boss fight coming up, and this episode has already run a little bit longer than I would like it to. So we'll get the drop on Harley next episode. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take it easy. Have a good one.